back to the Damn Yankees podcast produced by Seven Ashes Productions. It's Thursday, June 22nd, and my name is Megan. That's my brother Ryan, and over there is our baseball dummy Cliff.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello. Yes. And
yes, we're back.
Yeah, we're back and a little happier. I'm a lot happier because the Gators are going to the national championship game for baseball. So
yeah, College World Series.
We don't care about that here.
I care about that.
This is the Yankees podcast. God.
Well, right now the Yankees are not tracking for a World Series, so we're going to root for the team that is in the World Series.
Yes. I would love to win a championship.
This is how we lose subscribers.
That I watch. Well, I'm sorry, everybody, but this is the non-Yankee discussion podcast today. I mean, it was planned that way anyway, so we're going to talk about the whole league, so we're just going to sprinkle in some College World Series. So, and as we speak, LSU and Wake Forest are about to get started, and they have a couple of the best pitchers in college baseball, so that should be a very interesting game. And added benefit that they had to go 2 games, so their pitching should be a little bit more
drawn out
for the Gators to play on Saturday. So, all right, that's it about non-MLB stuff. Unless you want to chime in, but yeah, I won't say anything else.
I mean that Gators the center fielder who caught the ball to end the game. That was really good.
I think it's Michael Robertson or something like that. Yeah, it was, and apparently that would have been out in a few major league ballparks.
A home run, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. Would have been out of the park, not just an out. But yeah, that was such a good catch. I was like, was not breathing in that inning.
I saw that after the game, he said that I would run through a wall to win a World Series or to win a championship.
Yeah.
So
he was like, I didn't care. Cool. I was catching that. I'd run through a wall to catch it. I was, oh, yes, that's exactly what you want to hear. So yeah, the Gators seem pretty magical right now. I think they've only won every game by 1 run in the College World Series, so everything's been kind of clawed at, and so very exciting. But we can get into MLB talk though.
Yeah. All right. So Cliff, do you have your music for?
Yes.
Power ranking.
Anticipated power ranking.
Yes, I do.
Ryan's MLB Power Rankings.
All right, so this week was kind of interesting, just like a very interesting week for baseball. There's a lot of
Bless you.
Thank you.
There was a lot of movement around, with the exception of the top 5. The top 5 stay exactly the same. We'll get into that in a minute, but everything else from 6 through 30 changed positions this week. So that was pretty, just the way the week has gone with teams that have been struggling, that including the Yankees, including some other contenders like the Astros. The Astros got swept during this past week. The Dodgers have gotten swept. So plenty of the top 10 from last week, or close to the top 10, are getting swept. Specifically, those who are in that 6 through 10. 11 range were getting swept. Teams that were in the bottom teens are on 10-plus game win streaks, though I think the Giants were ended, or at least are going to be ended today. Before we started today, they were losing at least 10-0 to the Padres. So,
it does say they lost. Yeah,
they did, so the game's over. Yeah, it was not a good game today, but previously the Giants had won 10 straight games. So anyway, just there's a lot of things going on within the league, a lot of movement going around, a lot of controversial calls this week, which we'll get into as we kind of go through a lot of these teams. Starting off with our first one, we'll go through the bottom 5 first. So our first team in the bottom 5, the Chicago White Sox, were part of that controversy with a home plate decision. Yeah. They fall down 4 spots. But Megan, you want to talk about
Jose, did you want to get into that right now? Because that might be a lengthy discussion. But yeah, it was.
We can get into it a little bit. Maybe we can get into it longer when we get to the Giants.
Okay.
Because there was 2 situations, Giants being the other one.
2
But
overturned
yeah,
calls of play at the plate, and with the catcher blocking or obstruction, whatever the official
yeah,
call is. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
but yeah.
So
So
very
we can get into
similar.
that a little bit later. Yeah,
But yeah, so the White Sox had an issue with that, but overall, not a good week after they beat the Yankees. Um, I guess they too kind of fell into that Aaron Judge curse that has been happening.
apparently still works from the dugout.
So
I
it still
guess
works from the dugout. I don't
even
know.
when you get, even when you win the series against the
Yeah,
Yankees.
apparently they left the series and the White Sox did not break the. Basically, if you didn't follow from last week or the week before, each team that has faced the Yankees, and previously it was each team that has faced Judge since he returned from his first IL stint. They lose the series. That team loses the series to the Yankees, and then they or draw the series. They tie the series with the Yankees, or you know what I mean. Saying they either sweep the Yankees, either win the series or split the series. Is what I'm trying to say. And then after that, they fall apart and lose multiple series and kind of continue to tumble after that. We expected the White Sox to break that curse of leaving the Yankees game
Sure, since they
and
beat us. Yeah,
continued on a roll. They beat us. They did not face Aaron Judge. That those seem to be the two um,
keeps.
correlations with this weird thing going on. But no, the White Sox continue to stumble. I don't think they've had a win this week. Oh no, they have. I'm thinking of the Rockies, which we'll get into in a second.
Yeah,
But
so it
they
looks like
not
they at
been good.
least they won yesterday because it says their streak is losing
One
one.
win,
So yeah, but they
right?
have been 3-7 in the last 10 games. So
You're right. So and
not
two of those are to the Yankees. So
yes, that was 10 days ago. Tried to forget,
yeah.
but yeah.
So yeah, not great for the White Sox post the Yankee series. So they fall 4 spots to 26. The Washington Nationals are now 27th. They move up 1 spot.
Also
Um,
victims of a pretty terrible call.
yes,
Yeah, but
and this one was a um, throw to first base, correct?
yes,
And um,
yeah, they were
they call
playing.
it Astros, right?
Yeah, they were playing the Astros, and the bases were loaded. But I think bottom of the ninth, and like only one out, and they get what they want. They get the ground ball to short. They go home with it, so they get the force at home. They try to go to first to get the double play, and hit the runner. And Davey Martinez's beef is that the guy was running in the grass, and he was
On the
called
fair
on
side,
the fair
correct?
side. Yes, and he was a right. I think he's a right-handed batter. So, in fairness to the Astros batter, I don't even remember who. I don't remember who was running, but um, if you're in the right batter's box, the right-handed batter's
Right. You
box,
kind of come
you're
out of the box a little bit more ahead of the line
right. So, like
on the
your most
fair
direct
side.
path is on the fair side. So you wouldn't, because you're headed straight to the bag, you wouldn't veer off into foul territory because that's where the running lane is. You're going to go straight to the bag. But the problem also is that this has been called against Davey Martinez in the past. I just watched the John Boy breakdown, so otherwise I wouldn't have remembered that in the 2019 World Series, Trey Turner was called out for
Called
runner's
out.
interference. So Davey Martinez probably has a bit of a beef there. Probably should clarify
Yeah.
that rule.
Is he the one who laid down like post his
Oh,
ejection?
to you at the plate, like it's this
Yeah.
far on the ground. He could have been. He might have been. I don't know though.
I
I do
thought I
remember
saw
what you're.
something with that he because it was like a post. It's like Davey Martinez. I thought it was saying Davey Martinez got his money's worth.
Okay, it could have been. I don't. I can remember the actual event happening. I couldn't tell you what teams.
Yeah,
It was a red team, so it's very possible. But it's like half the league.
yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I
Anyway,
saw that. I'm pretty sure it was him. He laid down on the field
probably right.
to
Yeah.
get his money's worth, apparently.
Yeah,
But
it
yeah,
was pretty
so
funny.
yeah,
So, yeah, he wasn't very happy. He printed out a picture of the Astros runner in fair territory on the grass. Yeah,
during like an interview.
during like the post game, interview stuff. He had printed it out and was like,
Yeah,
"I need an
it's
answer."
pretty fed up with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
All right, so moving up 2 spots is the Kansas City Royals. They had a walk-off not a walk-off, a home run hit by a rookie. Blanking on his name, but he just got called up. He hit a home run. Not really much going on with the Royals this week. They got a couple wins over the week, but the 2 teams that are below them were way worse. So those 2 teams are 2 of the worst teams in the league right now, and they fell a little bit. So the Colorado Rockies were the team. They moved down to 29. They have not won in this past week, plus some. I think they had lost 9 straight games or 8 straight games as of this morning. And then the Oakland Athletics, I think they were 9 straight, and the Oakland Athletics have lost 8 straight games as well, none this week, since the last Power Rankings podcast. Yeah, they got that. Not as fun, not as much fun going on in Oakland as they were during that short-lived winning streak. They fell pretty heavily. They're very they win they don't seem to win game a single game here and there. They seem to win 2, 3. In that case, it was 6 wins, and then they go on long losing streaks.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned this before in a previous podcast. I was just thinking about that when last week when they were going on their long streak. I shouldn't put it in quotes. The Yankees haven't done that. So their long streak that I wonder what the rebound is going to be and how many games they're going to go on a losing streak. And I guess we have our answer at least 8. Yes, at least 8. So it looks like they play Toronto next. So we'll see. Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah. Because Toronto hasn't been great either. So, yeah, those guys, neither team has won this week. Another team, they're not. So those are our bottom 5, Chicago, Washington, Kansas City, Colorado, and Oakland. Another team that has been one of our bigger fallers. They're not down into the bottom 5 yet, but Pittsburgh Pirates, another team that's been very streaky. They started off the year really hot. They were leading their division for a little bit, and then they collapsed. They fell back down, and then they worked their way back up. I think they had worked – what?
So they have a not-so-fun losing streak going on right now, too.
They're at 11?
Oh, mine says 9, but
it could be 9. I think it was.
Am
9.
I on the wrong?
No,
wrong thing again.
I don't think so. I think you're right. Okay. But I thought I heard you say 11. I was like, wow, really? I thought it was.
No, I would say just not as fun as 9. But I'm sure you'll talk about that. I'll save that. Never mind.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. So by week 5, they had worked their way up to the 6th, to number 5 in the power rankings, and then. Wait, I might be looking at they worked up their way to number 6 in the rankings, and they fell all the way back down to 18. Then they moved up to 13 the past 2 weeks. Now they've fallen back down to 18. So yeah, very up and down team. That's really what baseball is. A lot of teams that are going up and down, moving, with the exception of some of the teams up top, especially the Rays, who've been number 1 since basically week 3. Still can't believe just how good they have been, but we'll get into them in a minute. But so that's another team that's fallen.
For
9,
Pittsburgh,
you said 9 straight losses.
Yeah, 9 straight losses, and did you see their City Connect uniforms?
I was just about to say some exciting news for them. Is there?
Yeah, did you like them?
Oh, you don't like them? I thought they were okay. I guess they were good.
They are clean. I guess maybe the more you look at them, the better they may grow on you. But it just felt like it was just here's a yellow shirt with PGH on it. Go.
If you zoom in, they actually have some local specific stuff. They have patterns within the yellow.
Okay, all right. It just looked
that's what I liked.
Okay, I'll have to zoom in on it then and give it a second chance because it was sleek. It was just
So the color combination, I guess, is supposed to be representative of the 60s, 70s uniform, the ones that you would have seen.
Sure.
If back when they had the yellow striped cap.
Yes. So
they did not bring that one in.
Why not incorporate that somehow? It didn't have to be an exact retro, bring it back, but incorporating it somehow would have been cool. I thought. Did you see Kutch's picture with it on?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he wasn't like sad about it, but he did look less mean mugging and more like, I hate these things. Like, especially
I didn't notice that, but maybe
that was just my own like, aw. Especially after you get pictures of Kutch in those in the Phillies uniform, with the retro ones they did, and he had like the half open jersey, and the hat. It was like, he just looks so smooth, and like that's like the pinnacle of retro uniforms right there. But anyway, sorry, but yeah, that was
real quick.
Yeah,
just a little blip from MLB just came out.
Oh.
So we'll get back to the Pirates in a second. But Aaron Judge performed pool work yesterday, has been doing balance and strengthening exercises. He has shown real progress.
Yes.
Did you already see this?
I did see this. I was figuring but no, I mean, it was very...
Sorry, it just came up on my phone, so it
Gotcha.
was like...
I think I was on Twitter like right before, just scrolling through, and I saw it, and I was like, oh my god, progress, so yay! Good. Yes, that's
progress
very good news.
Is a good word to hear.
Yeah, I mean, you need your big toe to balance, very much so. I think everybody knows that. So, I mean, if he's doing balancing work, even in the pool, that means they like the progress that they're seeing. So, I'm glad that second injection was a good thing and not yeah. So.
But anyway, real quick, just to finish off with the Pirates, and since we were talking about them, the little symbols that I was referring to before that were in their Connect jersey, they have the little star to represent the steel industry there. Okay. It's where like the Steelers, their logo is actually the steel industry logo. That they just changed the wording to say Steelers inside that little logo. So those stars that represents the steel, they have that same star within that pattern that's on their jersey and on their cap, as well as, I believe, a symbol that's supposed to represent one of the bridges nearby, which was named the Roberto Clemente Bridge.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And there was another symbol within that.
Okay. Well, I like it a little better now then, because when I saw it, I was like, Pittsburgh has a lot of history, and we're just going to put PGH. I guess I didn't look at it long enough, I guess, to see that it had more detail. So good.
It's like a zoom in on it, and the while the hat is not representative of what they had back in the day, the shirt and the pants are. Okay. So the yellow top, black pants with the big yellow stripe down,
piping down. Okay.
Yeah, so those are representative of those 70s, I believe, 60s or 70s team.
I do like the black pants with the yellow piping.
Yellow top.
Yeah, I do like. And the yellow top I do like. I guess I was just expecting a little something different.
I will say with the PGH, it did throw me off. I kind of saw it, I was like, ooh. But that lettering threw me off.
Yeah,
but when they say explained.
Yeah, so with the detail behind, you probably don't want to go more detail big, but probably the PGH could be better. But all right, I'm glad it's more than just a yellow shirt with like word font lettering. Yeah.
All right. Well, now that we've talked about the bottom five, let's move on to the top five or top 10. Really, all there is to talk about is 6 through 10 because, like I said, 1 through 5 stayed the same this week. 10 moving up. They probably really truly aren't a top 10 in my power rankings, but I wanted to talk about them today, and I felt like the week that they've had, they deserved it. Though they did lose today, was the Giants. They win 10 straight games. However, those games are, like as an asterisk, are against some of the bottom teams in the league, where they take 3 out of 4 against San Diego Padres, who they should be a really good team, but haven't been. I also believe during this streak they faced one of our bottom 5 teams, but they have been on a really good roll in these past 2 weeks. They do face Arizona, I believe, coming up, so that's going to be a big test for them to see if this winning streak was something real. They did face LA. They did sweep LA in the previous series, so that is not a bad team. Without a doubt, not a bad team. But they are a struggling team. So, you got to take that on its face. St. Louis, another team that should be good, that's been pretty dismal this year. They did sweep them. They did not sweep Chicago. They won the last game in Chicago, but swept Colorado before that. So in this really good stretch of theirs, they faced some teams that aren't really the best, and then the Dodgers, who are a good team, just not playing well at the moment. So it's still that much winning. The Yankees haven't done that much winning yet.
No,
there's
winning
teams
10 in a
above
row
this.
is a hard thing to do.
It's pretty big.
Yeah.
So because of that, they do jump 4 spots and make it into the top 10, pushing out the Angels. The Angels and the Blue Jays both fall out of the top 10 this week. Again, the Angels, Dodgers, Blue Jays have been kind of just mediocre throughout this past week. That's really the reason why this next team has stayed in, because this next team got swept by the Red Sox. The Red Sox probably could have been up in this.
Who could that be?
The Red Sox probably could be up in the top 10, but then they go into Minnesota and only split that series, and Minnesota is a very mediocre team. So not to say that the Reds, they're 500. Dead even.
Yep.
They're 500 today. I think they are the only 500 team in the league.
And they are division winners. Yeah.
And they are the division winners. That, of course, I am talking about the Yankees being in number 9. They fall down 2 spots. We've talked a bit about them earlier in the week. We'll talk more about this series currently, as the Yankee game has been 10 minutes in today for the final game. But as of the filming of this, not when this podcast comes out, the Yankees have won 2 of those games. Not necessarily in a wild, scoring a ton of runs fashion, but playing really good baseball, pitching really well. Cole had a really good outing.
Cole was,
Brito got called up and pitched very well.
Yeah, his pitch mixes, they kept saying on the broadcast that it was
very similar to what he was doing early in the season.
But the percentages, they were surprised at. His pitch mix was different, I guess.
Than even in the very beginning?
I think so. That's what maybe I misunderstood, but it sounded like who was it, Flaherty, that was on, that was like, oh, I wasn't expecting this, or he hasn't been throwing his changeup, but then he started throwing it later in the game. So maybe they just had a new approach for him, and it seemed to, whether it was just a surprise or it works, then either way it worked. And
I mean, when he had his first 2 good starts in the beginning of the season, he was using his changeup, but he was using it correctly, where it was starting in the plate and falling out. Whereas when he was throwing it, when he was getting rocketed off of, he was throwing it basically somewhat in the middle, and the changeup would break into the middle, and you don't want
the changeup
to stay up in the middle. So, anyway, he did look a lot better, kind of like he was in the beginning of the season, if not better. So that's good. Whatever he did on AAA has helped them. They were able to fix whatever he was doing, fix his pitch selection, maybe work on his changeup. So when he did throw it, it was hitting the right spots rather than finding the middle of the plate. But again, we'll talk more about this stuff, I know, on next week, because we can go into a whole podcast.
I'll just say, Yankees, too, that the Yankees did beat Castillo. So,
yes, they beat Castillo. I think that was that was a big win against Castillo, because he's had our number since he was traded. And I think everybody expected, Brito's getting called up, Castillo's in.
Even Michael Kay said before the game, well, this is an interesting matchup. And he was like, interesting code word for shit.
We're in trouble. But we ended up not being in trouble. So Brito held his own.
Baseball is baseball.
I think a few home runs, including Anthony Volpe hit a home run.
Yeah, you got a home run from Volpe, Billy McKinney, and Jake Bowers. All the ones you'd expect to help us win a game.
All of our big bats.
Yep.
We'll get into more of that next week, unless you have anything else on them.
Good.
But they do have to fall down 2 spots, because they got swept in the series before this.
The Red Sox and looked absolutely terrible.
And split this
watch
series
episode
against
20
the Mets.
if you're
So
yeah.
you can, if you want to hear us again, you can just go ahead and
Watch the previous
watch the
episode.
previous episodes. So another team that has fallen down 2 spots, again, the Astros are down. They also got swept by, I believe, the Reds, which we'll talk about in a second.
That's right. Yeah.
So they fall a couple spots as well, just because they have not had the best week. And I am holding on to the fact that they are the Astros, and for whatever reason, they figure out ways to win. I think somebody had mentioned that this was like the worst stretch that they've had in a few years or something. And someone was like, you better watch out. The Astros are about to go 72-9 for the rest of the season, and
they bring those trash cans back.
Yeah. But anyway, the Astros do fall a couple of spots. They look like a team that will make it in as a playoff wild card team, and one of those teams that you just never know about when the playoffs start, because they are the Astros, and once that playoff season begins, you never know what can happen. And that kind of seems that that's the team they are right now. They have some veteran leadership, but they've been dinged up. Kind of like the Yankees, where Yordan Alvarez has been out, and even before that wasn't producing as Yordan should. Altuve got banged up at the beginning of the season. He has been playing since. Pena has not been as stellar as he was last year. He's had some good moments, but not as consistent.
Right. And like same with Abreu, like he was like slow, and then maybe now he's just kind of starting to
play okay,
life.
But I still think it's not what they expected even at this point. So I mean, the Astros are going to have to figure it out. I'm sure they will. They are coached very well. As much as I hate them, they are managed very well. But I think one of the biggest issues is, I said it earlier in the year, when it comes to that pitching staff, when you don't have a clear ace, it causes struggles. Look at the Yankees when we're looking at Aaron Judge. When Aaron Judge isn't in the lineup struggles because there isn't a clear guy.
And on the other flip of that same coin, who got us out of a 4-game losing streak?
Yeah, right. Garrett Cole.
You know, having that ace to count on at least every 5th day is like, can right your ship. And so it's important.
Yeah. So the Astros are my number 8 team, and the number 17. Why I said let's put a pin in the sweep by the Reds is the Reds making probably one of the biggest massive jumps that I've had in weeks. They've jumped 9 spots to number 7. I probably was a little bit over anxious with this. I think, like we had talked about, MLB and ESPN still don't rank them in the top 15. Maybe that changes this week, but as of last week, they were still pretty low.
And how can they do that? They have almost the same record as the Yankees, and they still put the Yankees in the top, in their top 10.
I think they're a game and a half off of like the group of the Yankees, Astros, Giants, Angels, Dodgers, Blue Jays. I think they're only a game and a half off of that.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, they're 40-35. So, and have won, like you said, 11 in a row. So,
and their wins have been pretty good wins. They're not just like squeaking out some wins. They do have to face Atlanta coming up. So just kind of like we talked about with the Giants' big streak of winning, they're going to have a big test against Atlanta. But they just swept Colorado. Now Colorado is a bottom feeding team. They sweep Houston, which is a really good team. But then they do have Kansas City and St. Louis in there as well. So maybe their streak is a little bit,
it's probably in jeopardy of ending here soon. But it's, like we just said before, winning 11 games in a row is not an easy task. So,
and I would say again that some of these games are not like just squeaking out wins. I mean, they beat St. Louis by 4 runs in a game. They beat Kansas City. Was a lot of close games, but I think that was their back-to-back Kansas City, they had back-to-back walk-offs in those games.
I remember there were a couple. So yeah. Okay.
Houston, they beat by 7, 8, 10 runs throughout the series. So they're playing very good baseball. Ever since Ellie De La Cruz has come up, they have been playing very good, solid baseball. And one of the things that's like just crazy with him is he's only been up for 14 games, so 2 whole weeks this kid has played. And he already has a .6 WAR, which isn't that high, but for only
2 weeks of games,
2 weeks of games, that's a lot. In his 18 hits, I think at least 3 of them are infield singles, with 2 of them going to
the first baseman.
He has 7 extra base hits, 4 doubles, 1 triple, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 6 stolen bases, not caught stolen yet. And he also gets his walks. He's gotten 6 walks. He has struck out 19 times, which is a pretty high clip. I don't offhand, I don't have that percentage of his 19 strikeouts and 56 batting and 56 at bats. So, probably around 30-40%.
34%.
34%, which is high. That's about what Anthony Volpe has been doing pretty much most of the past month, which everybody says is high. So 34% is not a good number, but when he is making contact, he's hitting the ball pretty hard. He's got a .321 batting average, .387 on base percentage. His OPS is .923. His OPS plus is .143. Just insane numbers for a guy who's only been in the league for 2 weeks. Now, a lot of that is going to simmer down. It's just the way things work for the most part. Pitchers start to figure out, hey, let's look at those 19 strikeouts. Why did he strike out 19 times here? What are the similarities? What are things that we can pick up on? It's not going to work every time. He's not just going to strike out every time just because he struck out those 19 times. But pitchers, major league pitchers who are veterans who've been in this league, they'll figure out ways to prevent him from getting hits. But the thing is when he makes contact, even if it's an infield ground ball, it is not a guarantee to get this guy out. Some people have called him the fastest person that they've ever seen play baseball. It's made people say they have to rethink what fast is for MLB right now with him out there. I mean, Volpe is fast. Volpe is quick. He's stolen quite a few stolen bases this year. He's on pace, I think, for 30 this season.
Got 16, I think. 16 as of yesterday. Yeah,
and we're not halfway through the season yet. So he's on pace for 30, and he would make Ellie De La Cruz would make him look slow. So anyway, very good play from them, and a lot of that you can attest toward this kid being brought up. So they're my number 6, just partly because of how exciting, or it's my number 7, partly because just how exciting they are with him playing, and that 10 game win streak certainly helps them move up 9 spots. Another team that's moving up, our last team that has changed position in this power rankings is the Miami Marlins. I was about to say Alvarez. Arraez, thank you, has moved back up, at least as of a couple of days ago. He moved back up over 400. And they've been winning quite a bit. I think they have moved up into second in their division.
That's right.
Is that right? They should be second in their division.
Half a game. They're only a half a game behind Atlanta.
The Braves, They're only half a game behind the Braves.
Yeah, as of right now, I guess. Maybe someone might still be playing. Wait, let me check. What do you?
No, there's 6.5 games behind the Braves.
What am I seeing? Oh, they're a half game out of the wild card. I looked in the wrong column.
Sorry.
Don't ask me standings questions anymore. Apparently.
Yes, they're a half a game up on the wild card.
Yeah. I just saw
Sorry.
0.5 and ran with
I was
it.
just like, man, my math is being like super off right now. Sorry.
No, I was trying to get the
Not a math
algorithm. No, can't take that. I was trying to get the Arrayas thing, and my computer is like, ugh, I don't understand why it does.
Your computer's really failed you the past
It
week.
really has.
His batting average is down to 398, but a couple of days ago he did get it up over 400. He had like a 4 for 4 or 5 for 5 day.
Yeah.
No point of interest.
So,
when was
anyway.
the last time you actually shut that computer down? I don't just mean close the top.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Could be a factor. I don't know.
Whatever. Moving on.
He already has 105 hits this season, well on pace to go over 200 hits, which would be pretty impressive.
Pretty,
to be able to do.
Yeah. Let's say my era of baseball. And say there's so many people who would hit over 200 hits in season.
True. Yes.
Not that this isn't my era, but growing up. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people. I think
this.
too that one of the biggest differences between like your era that you started watching baseball and kind of when I was when I was younger as well, like that it was 90s, 2000s into close to 2010. One of the biggest differences is that players don't sit nearly as often as they do now.
True.
So when you're only playing 140 games versus somebody who played 160 games, their batting average could be 340 and still hit over 200 hits versus, it looks like he had 144 games last year, and his 173 led the league, not led the league in hits, but did lead the league in batting average. So anyway, this year though, he is like well on pace to break all of that to have the highest batting average since I don't know when, probably Tony Gwynn when he went 399. That's my guess. Is he like? I don't think anyone else has gone 399. Tony Gwynn had that magical season later in his career. I think he was like 38 years old or something at the time he did that. And he reminds a lot of people of Tony Gwynn in what he would do. Again, people have been saying that, man, if he could only hit the ball with faster bat speed and harder, imagine how much better he would be.
That's not always
Yes, he'd probably be a better power hitter, but he wouldn't be hitting 400.
Right. Well,
you just don't make contact the same way you do.
Yeah. How many of those, if they were hit harder, would be line drive outs to the right fielder or something?
Sure. Or just misses, like whiffs.
Sure. Yeah. You just miss anyway. But it's hit harder. So now it's going to stay up longer. And how many outs does Giancarlo Stanton get that are at over 110 miles an hour?
I think he had like 2 last week that were 118 plus. That
just like in the dirt,
line drives, line drive ground outs, line drives or ground outs.
That's not necessarily like a better thing. And if he's getting on base, like I think all these people who are saying this, like it's like those metrics aren't bad. Like Aaron Judge is amazing and hits the ball really freaking hard, but he does
whiff more than like a Luis Alvarez,
and he's never going to have will do. He's never going to have his average over 400, and Arrayas gets on base, so then that
and you need that. Like somebody, I would love to have somebody in front of Aaron Judge who could get on base,
who got 40% of the time. Hell yeah, I mean
his
on
base
runs.
Percentage right now is 447. He's getting on base almost half the time.
Yeah. I mean, so solo home runs don't win games. Like, not usually anyway. So
and right now it's working really well for Miami.
Yeah. So those kind of people are important. A mix of those, like, of the power and the get on base guys. I think that's a no-brainer. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, they move up to number 6. They have taken 2 losses. I think as of now, this morning it was only 1 loss. They only lost yesterday, but I think they did lose today. But again, these are made in the morning and then talked about more in the afternoon. So sometimes games get played in between. But now let's go into the teams that haven't moved at all. They just go. Almost all of them have kind of had the same week, with the exception of Tampa. I think, and I could be wrong, one loss here or there, but I think almost all of them were 4-2 in this last week. And I think the Tampa Rays were 3-3. So Arizona, they're number 5. They are leading their division. They've been leading their division by a little bit. Baltimore is number 4. Texas is number 3. They lead their division. Baltimore would lead any other division. No, sorry. Okay, never mind. They would lead. They'd be the 4th best division leader because Texas and Atlanta are above them. But Baltimore is much higher than any of the other teams that are in the wild card on either side. So, yeah, Arizona, Baltimore 4, Texas Rangers number 3, Atlanta number 2, and then Tampa number 1. Again, Atlanta's going to have to face the red-hot Cincinnati Reds. So that's going to be a big test for them. Arizona faces the Giants, who have also been very good. So a couple of these teams are going to have to face some teams that are going to test test them. Not sure right offhand who Tampa faces next.
Kansas City.
So they're not going to be tested too much there. They're playing Kansas City now, and
I was going to say, I'm
2-2.
sorry, that's today. Yeah, so I don't know who they play next. Yeah.
Well, this is the first game of a 4-game series.
Oh, okay.
So,
I guess
they get to play Kansas City for 4 games. They are tied right now. That does not mean either. We don't know who's going to win that. But I will say that of these top 5 teams, Tampa has been the worst in the last 10 games. But in every situation where they've been 500, and we're thinking, oh, these teams are starting to make their way back, they're going to fall.
No, they go
on that team goes on a losing streak, or they just start to fall.
This is the first time I remember. Obviously, it's not the first time, but this is the first time I remember looking at the standings, and their winning percentage is under 700. So it is starting to level out a little bit, but they're still pretty crazy. Yeah. Baltimore Orioles, which you just got done saying are still a very good team, are 5 games behind Tampa. So,
yes.
Hello, Kitty.
Kitty has decided to join, so we'll finish out with him here.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, that's the top.
Yeah, did you want to talk about the play that was the Rangers and the White Sox, and then the Padres, and who are they playing?
Giants.
The Giants. So when you don't normally get one of these calls, the catcher's interference or catcher's obstruction.
To
me, catcher's interference is the glove.
Plate obstruction is what they think the official term is.
To me, that sounds right. So yeah, I just think everywhere you look on dumb articles, it keeps saying catcher's interference.
Yeah, catcher's interference is when the glove gets in the way of the bat. So that is the people who are saying that like that are
confusing.
I know what they mean because I've seen the play, but catcher's interference is not.
That's not what. Yeah, it's not the term.
It's not obstruction at the plate. But
so
anyway,
So the first one that happened was the White Sox and the Rangers, and it was the White Sox trying to score. Right? Is that?
Sorry, he wanted to leave.
He did.
He had enough of his stardom.
Yes.
Sorry. Yes, the first one was the White Sox.
Yeah,
and the White Sox and Rangers, and then the more recent one was the Padres and Giants.
Yeah. So both calls.
Good old Gary Sanchez in that one.
Yeah, a little bit. The Padres one is a little more debatable, I think you could say. So, let's just start with the rule, I guess. So, the catcher's portion of this collisions at home plate rule is, or better known as the Buster Posey rule. The
Buster Posey caught for the Giants, broke his leg on a play where a guy came in and pretty much put his cleat through his shin.
Yeah, I would
And
say it wasn't like a break is like putting it mildly, and
yeah,
Buster Posey
Posey
was
was
also
like
like a
the
star.
greatest catcher at the time.
Yeah.
And it
So it was
severely altered his playing career.
Yeah. So that's where
Uh,
the rule change came from. And so you can no longer plow over, the runner can't plow over the catcher, and the catcher basically can't block the plate without having the ball. The catcher's portion of that rule specifically is the catcher is not permitted to block the runner's path to the plate unless he's in possession of the ball, though blocking the path of the runner in a legitimate attempt to receive a throw is not considered a violation. The runner can be ruled safe if the umpire determines the catcher violated this rule. Um, and per a September 2014 memorandum to the rule, the runner may still be called out if he was clearly beaten by the throw. Backstops are not subject to this rule on forced plays. Blah blah blah. So
So a lot to say, basically, that like you said, the catcher cannot stand in front of the base path, the runner's lane to get to home plate. Cannot stand in front of that lane when he does not have the ball. So when you're waiting for the ball, you have to have a lane open. Once you receive the ball, then
then you
in
can
a
block.
then you can get in front of the plate and tag.
Yeah.
The first one, though, for the White Sox one, the White Sox catcher was behind
That's what I
the
saw.
plate.
Yeah. He set
And
up.
so I don't know how you can be called
Yeah. And the call on the field was out.
safe.
Wait.
I thought it was initially called safe, and then it was no. You're right, out and it was turned safe.
Yeah, because that was the thing. It was out on the field, and then they had to have enough evidence. That's what we always say about the replays, that the call on the field matters because they have to have enough evidence to overturn the call. Because they have 3 calls. They have the calls confirmed, which means video evidence showed we were right. The call's overturned, video evidence showed we're wrong, and the call stands, which means we're not sure. We don't have enough evidence, but we're going with what was called on the field. So they're saying that
not
there was
confirmed.
That's what I said. Confirmed, overturned, and like still stands or whatever the call. So there's
it stands, and it's the same in football.
Oh, is it okay?
Yeah, where if the play is called on the field, so if they call pass interference, well, pass interference, it's not until this past year. Anyway, if they make a call on the field where it's a catch, they are going to use that as the standard ruling. That's where we start from. And then we look at the play. If they look at it and they say, yep, he had 2 hands under the ball did not move, it is confirmed that call was correct, it is a catch. On the flip side, they can say, yep, that ball moved. We can actually see the ball touch the ground, came back up. That play is overturned.
Yeah, we have
the play on the field was wrong.
Actual evidence that we were wrong about that call, and so we can overturn it. So that's basically
if the ball moves a little bit, but you can't really tell if it hits the ground, that is where they would say they would trust the call on the field, and say the play stands. So same with baseball.
So the people in New York, which is where the replays go to, say that there was enough evidence to overturn this call at home plate to call the runner safe for Texas. And, of course, the White Sox are pissed off because that was, I think, the game-winning run, right? And wasn't it? I think. Maybe.
If not, it was...
It was important.
It is important. I don't know if it was necessarily like game-winning, but it was like what ended up giving them the win.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a major determining factor in it. And so the catcher was behind the plate. I don't understand. It's where the catcher should be. I would be pissed if I was the catcher because I'd be like, where do you want him
because
to
he
be?
Doesn't, if you watch the video of it, you're right. Like his foot is behind the bag on the, behind the plate on the first base side of the plate giving him a lane to run in until he has the ball, and then he comes over just like he's supposed to and gets the runner out. With the Padres one, we'll wrap this up real quick, but because I probably have a whole podcast about this weird rule. with the Padres one, Gary Sanchez is up the line, but that's because the throw is offline. So
Throws offline.
Yeah, this part where it's like, unless there's a legitimate attempt to receive a throw, then so he goes up the line to get the ball and then goes over. So what I read too was that the who is it again? The Giants. That the Giants player was saying like he didn't have a lane at all. He couldn't slide in, like, so that was tough for me to get to the bag. But to me, I'm like bullshit, like, or tough shit, because that's the catcher's job. Like,
Right.
figure out a way to get
that's
around
definitely a more controversial call, because when you look at the video, you can see Sanchez in his way.
Yeah.
But it's hard to tell, like you had said, like he might have needed to be there because that's where the play was going. Like, you can't also, that's why the rule states that you can't also sacrifice your own need to make the play. If he went up more, right, like if, where he was at, if this is where the line is, he went up more to get the play so he has the lane, then he'd be too far up to actually make a play. So he needed to be where he was at to make the play.
Able to make a play.
It's a little bit more of a controversial call because he was straddling over the line in front of the bag, but he was there to make a play. Yeah, so before the ball makes it.
The wiggle room comes in to when you're making that judgment call of, did you move into the way to catch the ball? And a good catcher is going to make that seamless. Like, yes, I'm moving in the way to catch the ball, or moving to catch the ball, but it's also in the way of the runner. A good catcher will do that, and I have my opinions about calling Gary Sanchez a good defensive catcher, but
we've seen him in
too many examples to say
even this year.
Yeah. So yes, the Padres one is much more debatable about whether that call should have been reversed, but that's the other thing. They were both reversed, and what a terrible call to, like, I don't know, that I feel bad for both those teams, I guess, but interesting calls on the field. I'm sure their fans are very irate.
Well, we will be back again to talk more about Yankees baseball, stuff around the league in just a few days. We'll probably be talking about how the Yankees only won the series, not swept the series, because they're getting smacked right now.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw my face a few times. Those were the times that I clicked over to check the score and saw that Herman is definitely sucking today.
Herman needs to figure out a way to cheat indiscreetly again. Because
why have you stopped cheating, Herman? I don't understand. So and the Yankees go on to play the Rangers next. So at home,
another team that's going to be like we talked, top 5 are facing some challenging teams. Texas gets to face the Yankees. I don't know if that's necessarily a challenging team right now, but
we'll see. Any given day, yeah. Maybe if McKinney and Jake Bowers are hitting home runs, then it'll be all right.
Yeah. And then on other positive news too, we talked about Judge Rodon pitched. I guess his fastball was a little bit down off of average in his AA game, but Austin Wells caught the game. Rodon left the game saying that his call, like calling the game as a catcher, was very good. He played very well, kind of giving him a little bit of like, hey, Yankees, you should bring this guy up.
Yeah. I mean,
but his breaking stuff looked really good, is what everybody said. Like his fastball wasn't there.
Yeah.
But all his breaking stuff was there.
And they were saying his fastball wasn't there, but it is his first game back, and that I saw whatever they were doing at the field, it was wrong, because somebody was like, I have the gun right here, and he's throwing like 92 to 95 or something like that, which for his first game back isn't bad. He's going to build up his fastball to be
92 to 95 is about 3 miles an hour under what he normally does,
right?
But,
so I'm just like,
but like you said, it's his first back. It's not terrible.
Didn't expect him to throw. Really, I didn't expect him to throw 98 on his first game, and if he did, I'd be like, where the hell have you been then?
And he didn't get shelled with those either. I mean, it is AA, but he didn't get shelled by anybody.
Did you hear his comments, I guess, after the game?
I only heard the one about Austin Wells. That was about it.
Okay, so right after that game, he had said they were asking. He took some time to settle in. I guess by the 3rd inning, he was really like in a groove and felt really good. In the beginning, he like, I don't know, the first or second inning, something. He walked the leadoff runner, and then I think that person scored. But he said, the mortal sin of baseball, and he kind of joked about it. So at least it seems like his like attitude is going to be good for New York, and it was kind of funny. Like, it
Yeah.
is the mortal sin of
I
baseball, but it is funny to just kind of joke about it for a second.
this will be the last thing, just because I know that I was really hoping we were going to hit our time frame this
We're a little
time,
close.
but just my last comment on it is that when we initially signed Rodon, I was really excited about it. Obviously, him being on the IL and being out for so long has been frustrating, especially with his past history of injuries. But we all were talking about how he is built for New York. His attitude with when he was with the Giants and with the White Sox, like you can just tell this guy can really do well in New York and strive in New York, where we've seen others fail, especially pitching wise. So I'm excited if he's healthy and things are working well. We need pitching.
Yeah.
I think that's one of
Yeah.
the biggest things. Even today, right? I mean, we're 6 runs down because Herman can't find the plate.
Yeah. So
And it's just
Rodon
throwing.
being back will be a big boost. And it's really good to see him. And he did say I think he has another start tomorrow, Friday, which is a good sign that everything felt
indication.
well in between, and he's getting his second rehab start.
Still
I
with
think they
Double A.
said, still with Double A, and so maybe the next one. I think they said 3 rehab starts, like,
So
at
maybe the next one
least.
at Triple.
Yeah, so maybe if we see him go to AAA, maybe we know maybe there's 2
It's
starts
coming
there
soon.
or something, or maybe they just do one and he comes back. Maybe it depends
Yeah.
on how we're doing.
Yeah, hopefully not rush back in a sense where he's not
No,
ready.
not
But
in that
if
way,
it's a
but
rush back that he's ready and like, hey, we need you now.
right. Like, you look good. Let's get it going. Like, so
Yeah.
we'll see it. Good progress for both Rodon and Judge, and so we can end at least on a little bit of a happy note, even though they're losing right now. And we'll see you on Monday the next time we talk
So we'll
about
see you on
the
Monday, and we'll
Yankees.
get to talk about hopefully more of those progresses and maybe the Yankees winning another series.
I
All
guess
right,
we're
tell
releasing
tell
on
'em-
Tuesday.
tell them where they can follow us, Ryan.
Yes. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at damnyanks_pod, and then on Facebook at damnyankspod. We definitely appreciate everybody who gives us a listen every week, our tens of followers. I think we had about 21 listens last week on YouTube.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
but we do appreciate anyone and everyone who listens. So, listen to us rant, yell,
And maybe sometimes
cheer,
be
whatever.
happy.
Whatever it is in between. So we definitely appreciate anybody who has been listening to us. And like, subscribe on YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah. Until next time.
Yes.
See
Till
ya.
next time. See ya.